slightly under the weight of Justice Ocelot's scrutiny. Then we had a difference of energetic resonance, a clash of vital auras, one might say, a profound, vibrational misalignment that led to inevitable friction. You had a fight, Justice Ocelot corrected, her voice flat, devoid of any room for poetic interpretation or artistic embellishment. And Ms. Petal, no doubt exhausted by the incessant clash of your vital auras, and probably by your habit of leaving half-finished conceptual art projects in the bathroom, summoned the Chronos Constabulary. She stated you were not on the lease. They politely, or perhaps not so politely, invited you to apply temporal relocation assistance, by which I mean they told you to leave the premises with immediate effect. Is that not so? Right. Dirk sighed, a long, drawn-out sound perceived injustice, like a poorly inflated balloon losing air. How did you reestablish your presence? Mr. Dumpleton, did you bribe the temporal guard gargoyles with lichen crisps? Did you sneak in, through a forgotten dimension portal, in the back of her closet? Dirk shifted, subtly finding the intricately carved oak of the defendant's table fascinating, tracing a pattern in its dusty surface. Well, I was living in my artisanal unit, completely off-grid, no temporal coordinates, my mobile dwelling concept unit. It's a beautifully distressed relic, hand-painted with allegories of lost time, though admittedly it lacks many modern amenities, such as consistent climate control, running water, or a fixed postal address. And after the cosmic confluence compensation disaster, the wildfire of paradox, which devastated Paradox Paradise and my artistic sanctuary, we both, sort of energetically reprioritized everything. Our shared trauma drew us back together, creating a temporary magnetic resonance. So when she started collecting her cosmic contemplation, credits for childcare assistance, I was still orbiting, offering sympathetic vibrational support, which I assure you is a vital, albeit unremunerated, contribution. Justice Ocelot twitched her ear, a tiny bell on one of her statuettes giving a faint ding as if acknowledging a profound absurdity. This is an excessive expenditure of vocalizations, Mr. Dumpleton. My patience, like a stretched quantum string, is thinning to the point of imminent rupture. It is rapidly losing its vibrational coherence. When you return to live with her after the initial unflowing, after this period of solitary artistic contemplation, in your spontaneously combusting RV, did you demand inclusion on the temporal lease? Did you, for once, insist on formalizing your energetic cohabitation agreement with a signed piece of parchment? No. No, Justice Ocelot repeated, letting the word hang in the air, weighted with condemnation, like a guillotine suspended midair. So you were fully aware from the preceding experience, from that previous lesson painfully learned, that should the Chronos Constabulary be involved again, Ms. Petal would reiterate your non-contractual status, that your tenancy existed only in the ethereal realm of your imagination, yet you moved back, presumably for little Marigold, who, quite sensibly, remained with her, providing her mother with a fixed point in the temporal storm. What temporal cycle was this second? Reunion? Which month precisely? Dirk wrung his hands, a habit that produced a faint rustling sound, like dry leaves scuttling across a neglected timeline. I can't quite recalibrate those specific cycles. Your ocelotship, the precise dates tend to blur, when subjected to the emotional intensity of domestic dispute and the sheer creative output of my current multidimensional painting cycle. Of course you can't. Ms. Petal has no obligation to provide your internal temporal calibration. Her responsibility is to herself and Marigold, not to the disorganized archives of your memory or the fluctuations of your artistic inspiration. And then she unflowed you again, for the second time, where the constabulary summoned a second time, when emotional intensity reached its second peak and the creative chaos became too much for One apartment. Yes, your astuteness. I pinged the constabulary every time there's been a disturbance concerning her excessive use of crystallized tranquility. Dirk paused, lowering his voice conspiratorially, as if revealing state secrets. It profoundly affects her energetic field, you see, causing a palpable imbalance in our shared living space, a deleterious vibration. Pippa bristled, her LED flower clips flashing an angry red, threatening to emit tiny sparks. My crystals are for healing, not for illicit use. Your Honor, his accusations are defamatory and energetically draining. You called the police, Mr. Dumpleton, alleging her substance of choice. I gather this is a yes. Justice Ocelot stated, her voice bored, bordering on profoundly unamused. Professor Hoot, please record a simple yes for the plaintiff's answer, despite his semantic flourishes, and attempt to couch serious accusations in poetic euphemisms. Yes, sorry, Dirk mumbled, deflating further, suddenly realizing that even in Kronos Falls, some words were simply drugs. And when the Kronos constabulary arrived, after presumably enduring another 20 minutes of your energetic dissonance, and witnessing the half-finished, self-oscillating sculpture made from discarded temporal fragments in the living room, they politely suggested you perform another temporal relocation, asked you to leave the premises, and find a new artistic residency. Yep is a yes. Sorry, your clarity. Dirk bobbed his head apologetically, as if he frequently forgot the difference between casual affirmation and legally binding testimony, a recurring theme in his personal narrative. And you return to your artisanal mobile unit? Right. To recalibrate my artistic vision, you understand. For how many chronological cycles did you pursue this nomadic artistic existence in your mobile unit? Mr. Dumpleton, how long did it take for the call of domesticity to become irresistible once more? A couple of cycles, perhaps contemplating new ways to interpret existential despair through mixed media, primarily utilizing organic kombucha cultures and salvaged clock parts. And then, with what persuasive argument did you re-enter her residence for the third known time? Did you charm her with interpretive dance? Did you offer a limited edition conceptual art piece featuring her favorite healing crystals, encased in ethically sourced time shard amber? The third cycle of re-entry, Dirk began puffing out his chest, a flicker of his earlier misplaced pride returning, momentarily reigniting the LED clips on Pippa's head. I secured a quantum reality RV, much more spacious for my creative endeavors, allowing for multidimensional projects to unfold, projects that required a certain gravitas of presentation. He spoke as if merely owning a newer RV constituted a compelling legal argument. Justice Ocelot interrupted, her voice edged with genuine alarm, not because of the RV, but because of his chronic miscounting. Mr. Dumpleton, the documents clearly state 3 expulsions, yet we've only thoroughly discussed 2. This implies a distinct lack of temporal consistency in your records, Mr. Dumpleton. Perhaps your internal chronometer needs recalibrating, or perhaps your artistic vision often overshadows mundane numerical facts. Let's reprioritize. You claim compensation for return of rent. For which rent precisely are you seeking remuneration? Do you have documented evidence of any rent-like exchanges beyond metaphorical deposits of good intentions and vague promises of domestic harmony? Dirk fumbled frantically in his satchel, a chaotic canvas bag overflowing with crumpled sketches, stray feathers, a petrified croissant, and what appeared to be a sentient dust bunny. He produced a sheaf of papers, which Professor Hoot immediately identified as visually artistic renditions of botanical forms, likely crayon or charcoal, executed with considerable expressive force. I possess visual artifact depicting direct monetary transference to Miss Petal, Your Honor. Justice Ocelot eyed the documents with the distinct weariness of a creature who had seen too many abstract interpretations of proof, including one memorable instance where a plaintiff presented a dream